Hi everyone, welcome back. Myself Anjita Aravind. Today we are turning to discussion of various endocrine glands and hormones they secrete and its functions. And here we are studying the master endocrine gland, that is the pituitary gland. We now know that the pituitary gland itself has a master. We already said that it is the master endocrine gland because it secretes several hormones and that control other endocrine system also. So who is the master gland here? It is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is a small region of the brain below the thalamus, and it is the major link between the nervous and the endocrine system. That's why on the introduction portion we discuss a comparison of control of the nervous and the endocrine system. And cells in the hypothalamus which will synthesize at least 9 different hormones, and the pituitary gland secretes 7 of them. And together these hormones play an important role in the regulation of virtually all aspects of growth, development, metabolism and homeostasis. And we can now we will talk about the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is a P-shaped structure and it measures about 1 to 1.5 centimeters in diameter and lies in the hypophyseal fossa of the sella turica of sphenoid bone, and it attaches to the hypothalamus by a stalk. It is known as the infundibulum. In the image we can see that the infundibulum which is attaches the pituitary gland with the hypothalamus, and it has two anatomically and functionally two regions, that is the anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary. So in this image, that is the sagittal section of pituitary gland is given, and in this image we can see the posterior and the anterior pituitary and the infundibulum portion, which is a funnel shaped region, and it connects the pituitary gland with the hypothalamus. We already said that the pituitary gland anatomically and functionally it is separated into two portions, that is anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary or the anterior lobe, it is also known as adenohypophysis. It accounts for about 75% of the total weight of the gland, and it is composed of epithelial cells. And the anterior pituitary consists of two parts in an adult, and the parts are the pars distalis, and it is the larger portion, and the pars tubularis. It will form a sheath around the infundibulum, that is the funnel shaped region. And the posterior pituitary or otherwise posterior lobe, also called the neurohypophysis, and it is composed of neural tube, and it also consists of two parts, the pars nervosa and the pars intermediata. So anterior lobe and the posterior lobe, it is otherwise known as adenohypophysis or the neurohypophysis, and it is made up of, the anterior pituitary is made up of epithelial tissues, and the posterior pituitary is made up of the neural tissues, and the hypothalamus which will secrete releasing and inhibiting hormones, and that control the release of the hormones by the pituitary gland, and they reach the pituitary gland via the hypophyseal portal system. In this image, we can see the relationship of the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland and their blood supply. And here we can see the hypothalamic neurosecretory cells, and these cells which will synthesize the releasing and inhibiting hormones, and these synthesized hormones are transported within the axons and released at the axon terminals. And here we can see the primary plexus of the hypophyseal portal system. So when these hormones reaches the axon terminals, the hormone diffuses into the capillaries of the primary plexus of the hypophyseal portal system and are carried by the hypophyseal portal vein. So from the primary plexus of the hypophyseal portal system, it is carried by the hypophyseal portal veins. The blue color two veins are there, it is known as the hypophyseal portal veins, and it will carry it into the secondary plexus of the hypophyseal portal system for the distribution to the target cells in the anterior pituitary. So here we can see a blue color network capillaries which is noted as the secondary plexus of the hypophyseal portal system. So the hormones which is the releasing and inhibiting hormone which is synthesized in the hypothalamic neurosecretory cells, it is transported to the axon into the axon terminal, and it is then move into the diffuses into the capillaries of the primary plexus of the hypophyseal portal system, then into the hypophyseal portal veins, and these portal veins will carry the hormones into the secondary plexus of the hypophyseal portal system. Then the distribution to the target cells will happen. So this is the relationship of the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland. First we will discuss about the anterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary, or otherwise known as adenohypophysis, they secrete the hormone that regulate a wide range of body activities from the growth to the reproduction. And the anterior pituitary gland secretes 7 hormones, which is produced by 5 different type of cells. And in this table we can see the 5 different anterior pituitary cells, that is the somatotropes, thyrotropes, gonadotropes, lactotropes and corticotropes, and the 7 hormones which is secreted from the anterior pituitary. And first we will considering the cell somatotropes. It will secrete the human growth hormone, or HGH. Human growth hormone is secreted from the somatotropes. It's also known as somatotrophin because it is secreted from the somatotrope cells. And the human growth hormone in turn stimulate several tissues to secrete insulin-like growth factor. And insulin-like growth factor is a hormone that stimulates the general body growth and regulate the aspects of the metabolism. So somatotroph will secrete the hormone growth hormones, and it is also known as somatotropin, and it helps to stimulate the several tissues to secrete the insulin-like growth factor. And this hormone, that is the insulin-like growth factor, is a hormone that stimulates the general body growth and regulate the aspects of metabolism. And the second type of cell is the thyrotropoblast, which will secrete the thyroid stimulating hormone, or the TSH, also known as the thyrotropin. And the TSH control the secretion and other activities of the thyroid gland. It is the function of the thyroid stimulating hormone. And the third cell, or the third anterior pituitary cell, is the gonadotropes, which will secrete 2 gonadotropins, that is the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormones. The FSH and LH both act on the gonads, and they stimulate the secretion of estrogen and progesterone and the maturation of oocyte in the ovaries. And they also stimulate the sperm production and secretion of testosterone in the testes. And the next cell is the lactotropes. Lactotropes secrete the prolactin, that is the PRL, and which initiate the milk production in the mammary glands. And the last cell is the corticotropes. Corticotropes which will secrete adenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH, also known as the corticotropin, and which stimulate the adrenal cortex to secrete the glucocorticoids such as the cortisols. And some corticotropes remnants of the pars intermediata also secrete the melanocyte stimulating hormone, that is the MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. It is also secreted from the cells corticotropes. So these are the anterior pituitary cells, 5 different type of cells, and the 7 hormones secreted from these cells and its functions. Next we will discuss the control of secretion by the anterior pituitary. The secretion of anterior pituitary hormone is regulated by mainly 2 ways. The first one is neurosecretory cells in the hypothalamus secrete 5 releasing hormones, and which stimulate the secretion of anterior pituitary hormone, and 2 inhibiting hormone which suppress the secretion of the anterior pituitary hormone. And the second method is by negative feedback form. In such negative feedback loops, the secretory activity of the thyrotropes, gonadotropes and corticotropes decrease when the blood level of their target gland hormone increases or rises. For example, here I attached an image which will show the negative feedback regulation of hypothalamic neurosecretory cells and anterior pituitary corticotropes, and the solid arrows which will indicate stimulation of secretion, and the dashed arrows indicate the inhibition of the secretion via the negative feedback. And here we can see the adrenocorticotropic hormone, that is the ACTH, which will stimulate the cortex of the adrenal gland to secrete the glucocorticoids, mainly the cortisols, and in turn an elevated blood level of the cortisol decreases the secretion of both the corticotropin and corticotropin releasing hormone. by suppressing the activity of the anterior pituitary corticotropes and the hypothalamic neurosecretory cells. So this is the negative feedback mechanism of the hypothalamic neurosecretory cells and the pituitary glands. Pituitary glands, which cell is the corticotropes. In summary, we can say that the anterior pituitary gland will secrete the human growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, prolactin, adenocorticotropic hormone and melanocyte stimulating hormone. Now we will discuss each of this detailed. So first we will start with the human growth hormone. We already said that the human growth hormone, which is secreted from the cells of somatotropes, and the somatotropes are the most numerous cells which is present in the anterior pituitary. That's why the human growth hormone is the most plentiful anterior pituitary hormone too. And the main function of the growth hormone is to promote the synthesis and secretion of the small protein hormones, which is known as the insulin-like growth factor or IGFS or the somatomedins. And in response to the human growth hormone, the cells in the liver, skeletal muscles, cartilage, bones and other tissues will secrete the insulin-like growth factor, and which may either enter the bloodstream from the liver or act locally in other tissues as autocrines and paracrines. And the somatotropins in the anterior pituitary, which will release the burst of the human growth hormones every few hours, especially during sleep time too, and their secretory activity is controlled mainly by two hypothalamic hormones. That is, first one is the growth hormone releasing hormone, which will promote the secretion of the human growth hormone, and the second one is the growth hormone inhibiting hormone, and it will suppress the secretion of the human growth hormones. And a major regulator of these growth hormone releasing hormone and the growth hormone inhibiting hormone secretion is the blood glucose level. So these are about the human growth hormone. In this image, we can see that the effect of the human growth hormone and the insulin-like growth factor, and the solid arrows which will indicate the stimulation of secretion and the dashed arrows indicate the inhibition of the secretion via the negative feedback mechanism, and the mechanism is shown by a 10-step mechanism. And on the right and left side we can see there is a high and low blood glucose level. We already said that a major regulator for the growth hormone releasing and the growth hormone inhibiting hormone secretion is the blood glucose level. So when we considering a hypoglycemia state, that is an abnormally low blood glucose concentration, it will stimulate the hypothalamus to secrete the growth hormone releasing hormone, and which flows towards the anterior pituitary in the hypophyseal portal vein. So now it reaches the anterior pituitary. On reaching the anterior pituitary, the growth hormone releasing hormone stimulate the somatotropes. These are the cells present in the anterior pituitary, and it will release the human growth hormones, and the human growth hormones stimulate the secretion of the insulin-like growth factor, and which speed the breakdown of the liver glycogen into glucose and causing glucose to enter the blood more rapidly. As a result, the blood glucose rises to the normal level, and an increase in the blood glucose level above the normal level inhibit the release of the growth hormone releasing hormone. It is shown by the dashed arrows, and on the right side we can see that there is a high blood glucose level, so that is hyperglycemia state, that is an abnormally high blood glucose concentration. It will stimulate the hypothalamus to secrete the growth hormone inhibiting hormones. On reaching the anterior pituitary in portal blood, the growth hormone inhibiting hormone, it inhibits the secretion of the growth hormone by the somatotropes, and a low level of the growth hormones and insulin-like growth factors, that is the IGFS, shows the breakdown of the glycogen in the liver, and glucose is released into the blood more slowly, and blood glucose fall to the normal level. A decrease in the blood glucose below the normal level will occur, and it inhibits the release of the growth hormone inhibiting hormone. So this is the relationship between the growth hormone and the insulin-like growth factor, that is the effect of growth hormone and the IGFs happenings in the human body. Here we can see the summary of the principal action of anterior pituitary hormone. The growth hormone we already discussed. So second one is the thyroid stimulating hormone, otherwise known as TSH. It stimulates the synthesis and secretion of two thyroid hormone, that is T3 and T4. T3, that is triiodothyronine, and T4 thyroxine, and both are produced by the thyroid gland. And thyrotropin releasing hormone from the hypothalamus, which will control the thyroid stimulating hormone secretions, and release of the thyroid releasing hormone in turn depends on the blood level of the T3 and T4, and high level of T3 and T4 inhibit the secretion of the TRH and by a negative feedback mechanism, and there is no thyrotropin inhibiting hormone is present. And the next one is the follicle stimulating hormone, and we will discuss the function of follicle stimulating hormone in female and males separately. In females, the ovaries are the target for the follicle stimulating hormone, otherwise known as the FSH, and each month FSH initiate the development of the several ovarian follicle. I think you all know what is ovarian follicle. That is it is a sac-like arrangement of secretory cells that surround the developing oocyte. It is ovarian follicle. So each month the FSH initiate the development of the ovarian follicle, and FSH also stimulates the follicular cells to secrete estrogen. It is a female sex hormone. It is a function of follicle stimulating hormone in females, and when we considering in males, the FSH stimulate the sperm production in the testes, and gonadotropin releasing hormone from the hypothalamus, which will stimulate the FSH release, and release of the gonadotropin releasing hormone and FSH is suppressed by the estrogens in females and by testosterone in the males through negative feedback system, and there is no gonadotropin inhibiting hormone is present. And the next one is the luteinizing hormone and LH, and it also has different function in the females and males. And when we considering the females, the luteinizing hormone trigger the ovulation, and it helps to the release of the secondary oocyte by an ovary, and the LH stimulate the formation of the corpus luteum and in the ovary and in the secretion of the progesterone also. Progesterone is secreted from the corpus luteum, and together with the FSH, the LH also stimulate the secretion of estrogen by the ovarian cells. So in female, it has a function of ovulation. Ovulation means the release of the secondary oocyte by an ovary, and it also stimulates the formation of the corpus luteum and secretion of the progesterone from the corpus luteum. And in considering males, in males it functions as it stimulate the cells in the testes to secrete the testosterone hormone, and the secretion of LH, like that of FSH, is controlled by the gonadotropin releasing hormone from the hypothalamus. And the next is the prolactin, otherwise known as PRL, and together with other hormones it initiate and maintain the milk production by the mammary glands. And next is the adrenocorticotropic hormone, that is ACTH, also known as corticotropin. Corticotropes, which will secrete mainly the adrenocorticotropic hormone, and it controls the production and secretion of the cortisol and other glucocorticoid by the cortex of the adrenal gland. We already discussed its mechanism on the previous slide. And corticotropin releasing hormone from the hypothalamus stimulate the secretion of the adrenocorticotropic hormone by the corticotropes, and the glucocorticoid inhibits the corticotropin releasing hormone and adrenocorticotropic hormone release via a negative feedback mechanism. And the last one is the melanocyte stimulating hormone, or MSH. The melanocyte stimulating hormone, it is increases the skin pigmentation by amphibians by stimulating the dispersion of the melanin granules in the melanocytes. And its exact role in the humans is unknown, but the presence of the MSH receptors in the brain suggests it may influence the brain activity also. And the excessive level of the corticotropin releasing hormone can stimulate the MSH release, and the dopamine, which will inhibit the MSH release. So These are the principal action of the anterior pituitary hormones. Next we will discuss about the posterior pituitary gland. Posterior pituitary gland, otherwise known as the neurohypophysis. It does not synthesize hormones. It does store and release two hormones mainly. The cell bodies of the neurosecretory cells are in the paraventricular and supraortic nuclei of the hypothalamus, and their axons form the hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract. And this tract begins in the hypothalamus and ends near blood capillaries in the posterior pituitary. And the neuronal cell bodies in the paraventricular nucleus synthesize the hormone oxytocin, otherwise known as OT. And the neuronal cell bodies in the supraortic nucleus produces antidiuretic hormone ADH. It's also called or otherwise known as vasopressin. So these are the two hormones which is secreted from the posterior pituitary. In this image, you can see the axon of the hypothalamic neurosecretory cells, and these cells from the hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract which extend from the paraventricular and supraoptic nuclei of the posterior pituitary. And after the production of the cell bodies of the neurosecretory cells, the oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone are packed into secretory vesicles, and which move by fast axonal transport to the axon terminal of the posterior pituitary, and where they are stored until nerve impulses trigger the exocytosis and the release of the hormone. That is, the oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone are synthesized in the hypothalamus. Here we can see the cell bodies of the neurosecretory cells, and the hormones are synthesized there, and it is transmitted into the posterior pituitary through the axons of the neurosecretory cells hypothalamic hypophyseal tract and released into the capillary plexus of the infundibular process in the posterior pituitary. On the right side image, we can see the capillary plexus of the posterior pituitary. So the synthesized hormone in the hypothalamus is released into the capillary plexus of the infundibular process in the posterior pituitary, and when an impulse is triggered, the exocytosis and the release of hormone will occurs from the posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary will secrete mainly two hormones, that is the oxytocin and vasopressin or the antidiuretic hormone. So first we will discuss about the antidiuretic hormone. As its name implies, the antidiuretic, it is a substance that will decreases the urine production, and the antidiuretic hormone causes the kidney to return more water to the blood. That's why it decreasing the urine volume. And drinking alcohol often causes frequent and copious urination because alcohol inhibits the secretion of the antidiuretic hormone, and the amount of the antidiuretic hormone secreted varies with the blood osmotic pressure and the blood volume. And also the antidiuretic hormone decreases the water loss through the sweating and causes constriction of the arterioles, and which increases the BP or the blood pressure, and this hormone's other name is the vasopressin, which will reflect this effect on the blood pressure. That's why it is known as the vasopressin. In this image, we can see the regulation of secretion and action of antidiuretic hormone. We already said that the amount of antidiuretic hormone secreted, which will varies with the blood osmotic pressure and the blood volume. So here I added the mechanism which is depends upon the blood osmotic pressure, and here we can see the high blood osmotic pressure. It is due to dehydration or any decline in the blood volume because of hemorrhage, diarrhea or excessive sweating. These all leads to high blood osmotic pressure, and this leads to or stimulates the osmoreceptors, and the osmoreceptors activate the hypothalamic neurosecretory cells, and these cells will synthesize and release the ADH hormone. And when the neurosecretory cells receive the excitatory input from the osmoreceptors, they generate nerve impulses, and that causes exocytosis of the ADH containing vesicles from their axon terminal in the posterior pituitary, and this liberates the ADH which diffuses into the blood capillaries of the posterior pituitary, and the blood carries the ADH to three target tissues, that is, first one is the kidney, and then into the sweat glands, and also to the smooth muscles in the blood vessels walls. So The kidney respond by retaining more water and which decreases urine output, and secretory activity of the sweat glands decreases, which lower the rate of water loss by the perspiration from the skin. And in smooth muscles, the walls of the arterioles, that is the smaller arterioles, contract in response to high level of the ADH, and which constrict the lumen of these blood vessels and increase the blood pressure. So when there is a high blood osmotic pressure, this mechanism will happens, and when there is a low osmotic pressure of the blood, that is an increase in the blood volume, it will inhibit the osmoreceptors, and inhibition of the osmoreceptors reduces or stop the ADH secretion. So this is the action of the antidiuretic hormones, and the antidiuretic hormone act to retain the body water and increases the blood pressure. Here we can see the summary of the posterior pituitary hormones. The antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin we already discussed. The next one is the oxytocin. Oxytocin is secreted from the neurosecretory cells of the hypothalamus, and in response to the uterine distension and stimulation of the nipples. So there is two different mechanism will happens in the uterus and also in the nipples. And when we considering the uterus, it stimulates the contraction of the smooth muscle cells of the uterus during the childbirth, and it stimulates the contraction of myoepithelial cells in the mammary glands to cause the milk ejection. So this is the function of oxytocin in uterus and the mammary glands. So this all about the posterior pituitary hormones. So this all about the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. In this section we covered pituitary gland, its location, and also the two lobes of pituitary gland, anterior and posterior lobe, and the hormones which is secreted from the anterior and posterior pituitary, and its functions and negative feedback mechanisms and other functions of the hormones. So thank you for listening me. Thank you all.